Wolf Clock Productions, Wolf Clock here. Welcome to the first behind the scenes for an episode of analyzing environmental storytelling. I'm going to go through my process here of how I create these videos. Much of this video will be relatively unscripted, other than particular talking points about how this process works. So hopefully I'll be able to remain coherent throughout this video. So to start things off, how do I actually set up my game to look for things? Well, I've installed source mod for Left 4 Dead and am using an add-on called Recording Helpers, which re-enables all console commands and allows me to do things like disabling glowing outlines and bumping up texture and model quality to the max. For this particular video, and possibly for all videos going forward, I'm also going to be using an add-on called Source Speedrun Tools by Michael Smith, which re-implements a command that makes the game able to keep playing audio when I tab out. Inexplicably, while this is in most Source Engine games, the command is actually not present in Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2. Next off, I have a custom configuration file that I run every time I load into a map. This config enables God mode, disables zombie spawning, hides the HUD and view model, disconnects the flashlight from the view model, and finally increases the flashlight's range. The result of this is a wonderfully sparse and eerily quiet environment that I can no-clip around on in search of set pieces. Now that we have our setup, we're going to want to figure out the name of the first level to the campaign that I want to do a video on. This is a lot more easily done in Left 4 Dead 1 than it is in Left 4 Dead 2, simply because they changed the map names to reflect a different naming scheme in the sequel. For the case of Blood Harvest, I know that the chapter ends on a farm, so the maps named L4D_farm are the ones I'm going to be looking for. Hilltop seems to be our first level here. However, before we hop into Blood Harvest though, I tend to do my corrections to my previous episode first. To do this, I usually go through the comments on the last video by popularity first, and then usually sort a few by new, just in case there are any new thoughts I haven't seen before. Once I've found a handful of comments that I like, I go back to the previous campaign and record some B-roll footage for them that relates to the specific claim that the comment is making. This is actually why I'm always behind by a video for my ambient track uploads, as I incorporate the new B-roll footage into those as well. Now I'm going to take a look through some of the comments on the previous video and see what things I'd like to mention. Again, by the time you're seeing this, I've already released the new video, so you already know exactly which comments I'm going to be using. And related to that, apologies to anyone who I gloss over the comments from. There are a lot of comments, 464, so I'll try my best. I think this is a pretty good comment to talk about, the trajectory that the plane crashes. I think an element of storytelling for the crash plane that isn't talked about is the trajectory that it takes. Yeah. This one, I like this one. It's suggesting that the reason why that plane crashes is because it's somebody who doesn't know how to fly a plane, desperately attempting to get into the taxiway so that they can refuel. So I think this one I'm going to use. I'll go ahead and copy it. This one I like, except for the last part here about when crashing into Swamp Fever, because that was probably just a reused model, but I think it's worth using anyway. You know what? This is a good one. Earlier parts, pointing out that the fires wouldn't burn super long, so it must have been recent last time people were there. This is a very good comment, especially considering that it brings up actual examples of real-life crashes. Which means it's educated and informed as well. We love that. We love educated and informed viewers. There's another comment from somebody suggesting that at the end went rogue. So I'm going to use that one as well. And this person is bringing up how there are differences between the Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2 versions, which is actually why I'm using the Left 4 Dead 1 versions. Don't want to use the Left 4 Dead 2 versions when things have been changed, because it's less genuine to when the level was originally created and what was originally intended. This comment about high-rise is interesting. I know about that map, but I don't believe there's any confirmation that it was genuinely a part of Dead Air at some point. Probably more just a reference. Okay, so it looks like these I should mention because multiple people mentioned this for the TSA agent. Okay, it only covers a couple of different topics, but multiple different users here pointing out particular things that I missed is good. That's what I'm looking for. More people that mention the same thing, the more reason I have to add at the start of the video. So, thank you all once again. We'll go ahead and load into the first farm map here, and once we're in, I'll talk about my process. Alright, so here we are loaded into the first map.
You ready?
Shut the hell up, Lewis. Anyway, here we are. And with that, let me go ahead and run that script that I wrote. And there we have it. So when creating these videos, I run through the campaign at least twice and usually 3 times. The first time is to analyze the video and write the script. The second time is to record the background footage and my voice. And the final time is for extra scenes, skits, re-recordings, and alternate footage that I might need. This video is going to chronicle my first run-through, which I consider to be a sort of discovery phase making these videos. Now, with that said and done, I don't believe I have anything else that needs to be said that's scripted, so let's take a look around, shall we? Obviously, this will be a good starting point here, because a lot of people had a thing or two to say about the way that I pronounced the forest name here. And you know what's funny? You guys have already seen the full video. I'm recording this before I record that video. Right now, I still haven't looked up how to actually pronounce the forest name. I know that I pronounced it wrong, so got that going for me, but I don't know the right way of doing it. But I'm going to go ahead and jot that down in my notes right now. Currently, I'm writing a little bit about mispronouncing the name of the forest. Figure it's a good way to start off the videos, having a little joke. Sets the tone a little bit better. And honestly, we could do for a lap or two right about now, so no harm, no foul. Daubry Farm, 115 North Hill Road. I'll have to go check, but I'm pretty sure that's where they said outpost, or Echo Outpost, or whatever it was called in the previous chapter is actually located, so I better mention this. A couple interesting things I'm noticing here. Despite the fact that there are 4 survivors, we've only got 3 sleeping bags, and I'm thinking that the intention here is to show that, well, 3 survivors slept, there was always 1 that was awake on lookout in case of, an emergency. Also notice that this one in particular has been folded back up. I guess that one's Zoe's. Or possibly Bill's. No. Zoe's or possibly Lewis's. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I'm assuming this is probably going to be Lewis's, because he seems to be that kind of guy. Who would fold things back up, even during a zombie apocalypse. To jot that down as one of the talking points. I think that one of the things I want to do for this video is zoom in. Oh my god, it's made out of money. Oh, I didn't even notice that until just now. I'm going to have to write a whole section about that. That's crazy. Wow, that made me lose track of what I was saying. I was going to say, maybe I'll zoom in on the fireplace. Oh yeah, this is a good spot. Take a screenshot of that one. It's a potential thumbnail right there. But I was going to point out the sounds of more coyotes off the distance, as well as the lack of gunfire. Very noteworthy considering the previous however many chapters, campaigns rather, didn't have many moments of absolutely 0 gunfire off the distance. Talk about how that suggests that most survivors have been killed at this point or have reached evacuation points, and they're very on their own, and how this represents the just the level of isolation that they're experiencing right now. But I had no idea that that was money in there. That's crazy. I have to write that in. So I did a whole lot of stuff for the opening section here, but moving down the road, we get our first instance of our lovely environmental storytelling. I'm thinking this was it's hard to even say if this was an actual survivor, if this is just a really old body, because there aren't any weapons here. I guess there could be spawn points for weapons, but I don't know. I'm going to assume that this was a survivor. Cause of death, severe hunter moments, I'm thinking. I don't think I actually have anything to say about the bridge here, but I always find that's really funny how this model is used all over the place in like every source-related project after Left 4 Dead. I know that's used in Hunt Down the Freeman, Don't ask me why I remember that in particular, but it's always entertaining to see this weird drawbridge, not drawbridge, weird if like rope bridge, constantly in use in just about everything. I'm sort of interested. I'm looking at this park ranger office. We have a military corpse inside here. I sort of wonder if this is supposed to be the park ranger. There's not really much of anything else here to suggest that the military is even like set up near this area, other than the fact that there's allegedly an outpost at the end of a train track. I don't know. Maybe this is literally just like a model stand-in for a park ranger. I think we could go with that because it seems to make the most sense. Does this one open? No, it doesn't. Right next to the National Forest. Wow. Wow.
Safe
Horrible.
house ahead.
Safe house ahead. Well, clearly not safe from the destructive hand of capitalism. This is supposed to be a national forest, and here we've got a mill inside of it. This is a metal mill. What are you? Freight hauling. Ah, so this is where the train tracks are. You know what? You win this time. You win this time. But you haven't won the war. They spelt maybe wrong. Got more, Echo evac stuff. Follow the tracks. Newburgh is doing helicopter evacs to safe zone. I don't think that's true. Fingers crossed. Yes! Yes, that one commenter was wrong. Oh, that is beautiful. That is lovely. This isn't much related to anything else here, but just wanted to point out some of these models because, wow, they are extremely, extremely old. So, Half-Life 2, during its development around 2003, they started using singular sheets for models and baking ambient occlusion and stuff on each model so that things looked more realistic and were better suited for the game. But there were a number of models from like between 2000 and 2002 that slipped through the cracks, and this is one of them. And you can really, really tell because, wow, it does not look very good. There's no ambient occlusion. I don't know what this white line is, but it doesn't light up. I guess it's got some specular reflections, but it's probably just a baseline like specularity amount rather than a unique texture. It is very funny to see these sometimes. This one as well, obviously. And maybe this one? Although I'm not certain. So I stopped talking about them a little while ago, but you can see that the usage of putting a whole bunch of props up against doors to imply the level is bigger than it actually is still using a great amount, even on these later chapters. I believe I passed like 2 or 3 on the previous level. Another one right here. This almost looks like it's a this looks like an apartment door with the little socket there to be able to look through. Figure now is probably the best time as any to explain why I've been using Left 4 Dead 1 instead of Left 4 Dead 2 for these videos. Other than the obvious part of, well, these are Left 4 Dead 1 chapters, might as well do them in the right game. That's true, but the more like major and specific reason why I've been using the Left 4 Dead 1 versions of all these maps rather than doing it all in Left 4 Dead 2 is because one of the things that they changed when all of the Left 4 Dead 1 chapters got ported to Left 4 Dead 2 was the corpses. And so I want to make sure that we had the original corpses here to help show what the original intent was for each of the levels and areas and stuff. Obviously, when analyzing environmental storytelling and things, you're going to want to have original versions of assets as best as you can get them, because otherwise there may have been some things lost in translation. Like, for instance, when I did the video on Crash Course. Crash Course, I noticed in Left 4 Dead 2, used separate corpses that just didn't look like they fit. The corpse of the man who's up against the wall, for instance, with the gun next to him, That's some random woman's corpse if you play the Left 4 Dead 2 version, and I thought that it would be more fitting to use the original versions. So here's something that I would absolutely count as environmental storytelling, and this is something that almost nobody will ever notice. It's only spoken in the environment. So right here we've got property of Richardson Atlantic, no trespassing. And if we look up here, we can see that the actual name of the company that owns this building is Richardson Atlantic Freight Haulage. So I guess their freight hauling group is a subsidiary to the parent company Richardson Atlantic, which again, these names don't mean anything. You'd never notice them if you're not like just staring at walls to see what's written on them, but I thought it would be interesting to point out simply because it's there, it exists. It's a little bit of world building in an otherwise pretty bleak and desolate world. So this isn't going to get into the main video, but I've just transitioned to the third map of the sequence, and I noticed something in the previous map that isn't here anymore, which is sort of interesting. Previous map ended right here. There was like a hallway. I did that whole speech about the door on the ground and stuff, but over here is where the main tunnel was, and past the knocked over thing in the main tunnel there was a vent. I think it might actually have been this one. There's a vent that broke out into the main hallway. I'm sure it's probably a place where zombies spawn when you're actually playing and not just no-clipping around. But the layout was a little bit different, so I wonder if that's like a layout thing that was never quite updated on both sides of the map. So this is why it's important that I do these like look-throughs rather than just turning on my recording and saying what comes to my mind. Is that I never would have noticed that there was a second little camp down here, so I'm gonna write this out. Can you hear my script? Well, I'm still recording here. Let's say, let's see, we've got pills, we've got explosives, and we've got a gun. So definitely survivors. There's no blood or bodies nearby, and in fact, you know what? I wasn't even going to mention these guys. I was going to bring it up, but there are more infected bodies down in the last hallway here. So now I am going to bring that up because we know that there was a small group of survivors that came through here. In fact, it seems that they're always using exactly 2 sleeping bags because this room also only had 2 sleeping bags. So I guess there was a duo of survivors that came through this way, came outside, slept up here at least a night, and then went through into this area, which, once again, Richardson Atlantic. All these different things mentioning Richardson Atlantic is very interesting. Paints a broader world stroke. There's this company that owns all these buildings. A bit miscellaneous, but I don't actually recall what this upcoming area is with all these flashing lights. I was a little bit worried that because I'm doing this in January, maybe there was a Christmas setting that was still turned on, because those look like Christmas lights, and I thought there was snow coming down. But let's find out what this is, because I don't actually remember it. Oh. Interesting. This collapses, doesn't it? Yeah, that definitely collapses. I was going around looking for things to talk about. Just found that for some inexplicable reason, there is a door to this little door frame on the barn that is just underneath the map. Let's try to tell. Okay, it's not solid. I was wondering if maybe it was down here because of I don't know, maybe it was a physics prop that somehow clipped through the ground. But if it's not solid, then that would suggest that it isn't. Very bizarre. Anything can happen in the Source Engine map, people. Anything can happen. Something that I want to point out, it's pretty obvious here, but I figured I'd show it off anyway, is the fact that this final safe house, and indeed in the base game this was the final safe house, before the DLC updates came out and added a couple more campaigns, is one of these train safe houses. And it has me almost wondering if this was copied from the other place that had one of these safe houses, or if this was the original. And then I'm forgetting the name of the campaign, but whichever one also had a train safe house. So this right here is part of the reason why I love doing these videos, is because you notice things that you never would have noticed beforehand, and you gain a much better appreciation of what the developers were trying to show off. So this is a section that I'm writing near the end. I bring up these signs saying that this is an active military outpost, and then this sign that says, keep your arms above your head at all times, you'll be shot on sight, don't run directly, all that stuff. And then just as we move forward, we see this, and I never noticed that there was a bullet hole on the driver's side of this tractor. But there's a bullet hole on the driver's side of the tractor. You can see from where the crops have been knocked over, and from this being picked up, that whatever happened was he was probably shot in the tractor, and it was reversing. It just kept reversing until it plowed into this stuff. So this was pretty clearly not because he got infected. This was pretty clearly the military's doing, which is incredible because I never noticed this up before now. But there's quite a lot of stuff that starts to subtly suggest that the military is not actually our friends in this scenario. One of the big parts that I love doing during these videos is trying to connect dots with different pieces of the environment that the developers have left out for us. So, for instance, in the video, I connected together the farmer shot from the outside of the tractor, along with the crib in the master bedroom, and the two children's beds and baby in the house. I find it very interesting to think about the fact that these may have all been intentionally put together sort of as a way of suggesting that there was a story that happened here that we missed out on but could learn from looking at the clues. Alternatively, it might just be a whole bunch of different things that exist in the level. They weren't made to tell a single individual story, but even so, they're able to make a story out of it. And that's a big part of why I like doing these videos so much, is it's not just like trying to show off all the neat different things that they did when creating this game, but it's also a means of just like thinking about things that could have happened if this was a real place and things really happened here. It's sort of like, storytelling at the side of a campfire in a forest. That's how I always have considered doing this, is similar to. But that about wraps up this behind the scenes video. If you're watching this during the premiere, then you've already heard me say this once already, but thank you all very much for watching all the way through. It really does help me out. If you enjoyed this behind the scenes video and would like to see me do more of these alongside the regular series, let me know what you did and didn't like about it in the comments. Since I've been considering setting up a membership on my channel, I figure that this might be the right kind of video to put up on there early. So if I see that there's enough appeal with this one, I'll certainly consider doing more. As always, I have been Wolfclock. I will see you all in the next video, whenever it may be, and thank you for watching.